Back in Tallahassee on Bobby Bowden Day at Doak Campbell Stadium. This was just a moment ago. Ordinarily, Osceola plants the flaming spear at midfield before the Seminole home games, but today they hand the spear off to the college football legend Bobby Bowden, back here for the first time since he was forced into retirement after the 2009 season. A tremendous welcome home for the legendary coach. 34 years here, not only turned it into one of the great college football programs in the history of the sport, but really by doing so put this university on the map, and so much appreciation throughout this community for all that he has meant to this university, to this area, and to the sport of college football. Before Jimbo Fisher settled on Winston. The toss back to Carlos Williams. Touchdown, Florida State. Carlos Williams, an 18-yard touchdown run. 4 plays to go 65 yards. He took Dante Johnson along for the ride. From the 39 of NC State, play fake by Winston. Wants it all. And it is caught for a touchdown by Kelvin Benjamin. They're trying to make a statement today and off to a great start. 1 play to go the 39 yards after the punt return.
And Benjamin at 6'6", running a 4.4. You have no shot if you're lined up out of position. Help yourself by your pre-snap alignment, off and inside, and protect the post, which he didn't. The result, Florida State made him pay.
Under center again with Devontae Freeman, the running back. Touchdown!
It's pretty easy, Sean, if you're running through there and you're untouched. And again, it's people blocking downfield, finishing off. And if I'm North Carolina State, I'm getting them on the bench and saying, guys, this is going to get embarrassing.
It took 2:29 to do it. Second and 10. NC State brings a blitz. O'Leary. Horrible tackling. Touchdown, Florida State. And Chris, you said it. The Seminoles obviously rolling and very impressive. Nick O'Leary with the touchdown catch, his 6th of the year, the 10th of his career. That ties the all-time Florida State record among tight ends. Melvin Pearsall and Lonnie Johnson each had 10 touchdown catches as a tight end. When they do get to those rare third downs, Jameis Winston has completed 80% of his passes on third down for the year. Throwing another deep ball into single coverage. Caught! Rashad Green, a 42-yard touchdown. Dave Huxtable's defense has no answers for the high-flying Seminoles.
Well, Sean, again, we're going to have that quarters coverage. You cannot give up the inside. You'd think they would learn after the first time. And let's take a look what Justin Burris does right here. Again, he's sitting on the outside. There's no free safety help. Then you have the speed of Kenny Shaw and the arm strength and accuracy of Jameis Winston. The results are deadly if you're a Wolfpack fan.
Let's go back and look at the touchdowns. 5 already. Carlos Williams the run. Deep ball to Kelvin Benjamin. Devontae Freeman. Nick O'Leary. Rashad Green.
Well, Sean, it's the same coverage that Benjamin scored his post.
Shades of yesteryear indeed here at Florida State. Bobby Bowden back at Doak Campbell Stadium. for the first time since he retired in 2009. And the Noles playing like his great teams of yesteryear. They're still chopping for Bobby. There's a look inside the Donald L. Tucker Civic Center here in Tallahassee last night. Bobby Bowden honored by former teammates, fans, former players. More than 5,500 people came into the Civic Center. Treated about an hour and a half of Bobby's thoughts and great storytelling. Then before the game, you said, Chris, it's the first time since you've been in a broadcast where you got goosebumps in the booth as he walked out through the tunnel formed by the more than 300 players who are here today. You're watching the ACC on ESPN from Doak Campbell Stadium in Tallahassee. The band paying tribute to the legendary Bobby Bowden during his performance at halftime. It's Bobby Bowden Day. The great coach back in the stadium for the first time since he retired in 2009. And the Noles look like Bobby's great teams from yesteryear.
Maybe a little bit better. I don't know if he would agree with that, but they look awesome. They look awesome in all three phases: offense, defense, and special teams.
And we'll visit with the legendary coach in the booth right after this. Hello, Coach. Great to see you. For the Florida State Seminoles here at Bobby Bowden Field at Doak Campbell Stadium, the legendary coach honored before the game. More than 300 of his former players on hand. Fired beautifully. Perfect strike of the flaming spear into the turf at midfield just before the game. Rousing ovations throughout. And his school representing itself very nicely on the field, although I don't think coach is going to like that. Onside kick by Nicholas Sadie, executed to perfection by the Wolfpack. It went 11 yards and he recovered. Dave Dorn fired up and wants his Wolfpack to win the second half. Sean McDonough with Chris Spielman joined by Coach. I know you didn't like that. That's one of the few things that's gone wrong today.
Yeah, and you know, when you're that far behind, it's not that too surprising, is it?
Yeah, it isn't. What's this day been like for you back here for the first time since 2009?
It was fun. You know, I intentionally had stayed away. I didn't want to stay here and look over the shoulder of a guy, you know, and because I've been through that myself, you know. And but it was nice. The people were so doggone good. It was very nice.
And I think that's an important point to make. We spoke with Coach Fisher yesterday. He said you told him years and years and years ago that you weren't going to hang around whenever the time came, that you weren't going to be the coach anymore and look over the shoulder of the new guy. So I think the feeling for some of us from a distance might have been that there was bad blood. It didn't end well. If there was any of that, is that over now?
Yeah. Well, when I left here, the day I left, I went by his office. He was there grading film. I said, "Hey, Jimbo, you ain't going to see me around here anymore. I'm not going to stay around and be looking over your shoulder." When I got the head job at West Virginia University, I followed a very successful coach. Everything I did, he compared to him, especially when you get beat. And it caused hard feelings. And I always said, when I leave here, I'm leaving.
Yeah, well, I understand that from when Earl Bruce took Woody Hayes' spot. But, Coach,
it's tough.
I wanted to ask you, besides the wins, how would you want your legacy to be defined, or how would you define it yourself?
Well, it'd be nice if people thought I was one of the good ones. I don't expect them to sound the best, because I wasn't the best. I can like a bunch of them that I think are a lot much better coach I was. Probably got one here right now, you know. But I hate for them to say he's one of the worst.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
Please put me in there with one of the best. Fifth or sixth, somewhere around in there, you know.
The record speaks for itself. If you weren't the best, who was the best, in your opinion?
Well, you know, my guy was Bear Bryant. You know, I was raised in the shadow of Bear. I coached about 50 miles up the road from him when he came to Alabama, and I tried to copy a lot of my program after his, and he was the guy I really liked.
How good is this team? We were saying the way this game started in particular was reminiscent of some of your teams that really dominated for that stretch of 14 years or so when you won a couple national championships. How good is this team?
You know, they look as good as anybody I've seen. You know, I watch. One thing about it, when you're not coaching, you watch everybody else. And they look as good as anybody I have seen. You know what? And I think this is a team that if they play the best they can play every Saturday, you ain't going to beat them. You know what? Until they get that big one, and then see how that comes out.
Well, it's one of those teams, too, Coach, with the day and age of the spread offense. They're pretty much still standard and very similar to what you did when you were here.
Yeah.
Even before Jimbo.
Very much. But, you know, but the key to all of them is defense.
Yeah.
You know, spread, tight. I don't care what you're doing. If you can't play defense, you ain't going to win.
This guy helps, too, though, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah.
You have one of those guys?
And that guy. Yeah. I would say the ingredients are one of those guys and defense.
Well, speaking of that guy, Jameis Winston, we believe, is going to come out of the ball game now with the outcome not really in doubt. You said the other day, you were quoted in the paper at least, as saying that you think when it's all said and done, he might walk out of here being regarded as the best quarterback that's ever played here.
Well, he sure got a better start than everybody. You know what? And dadgum freshman, just a freshman. So that wouldn't surprise me one bit. You know.
Would you be nervous if you knew that he was the closer on a baseball team and he was your starting quarterback?
That would bother me.
Yeah, it would bother me too.
You know, I've seen a lot of great football players break legs, tear up knees, playing baseball. I'm sure it's going to happen to this guy.
Yeah, well, Jameis isn't sure if he's a baseball player or football player beyond college, which says a lot about his incredible athletic ability. Jacob Coker has come into the game, so Jameis Winston throws for 292 yards today, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. And it also says a lot about Jacob Coker, Coach, that the battle for who was going to be the quarterback went right down to the end of the summer, and
right.
Coach Fisher was raving about the talent that this young man has.
Yeah, he seems to think that he can play for about anybody. Now, you know, I'll tell you an amazing thing about Jimbo. Both of his quarterbacks from Alabama. Now that ain't supposed to happen. Hey, when I was here, we couldn't get them out of Alabama. You know what? Yeah, I've used it, and that's true. I mean, if Alabama and Auburn, they're going to get them. You know what?
Oh, yeah.
But he's got his first and second team quarterback, 2 excellent quarterbacks, both of them out of Alabama.
Coker's from Mobile, Alabama.
Yep.
And we asked Jimbo yesterday, I mean, he's behind now Jameis Winston. Are you concerned that this young man might not stick around? And he said, well, we'd love him to stay. He's got great talent. But if not, we have 2 or 3 other guys in the program. We have a couple of recruits coming. You get the feeling that they have done a wonderful job here recruiting quarterbacks, as you and your staff did for so many years.
Oh, yeah. You got it, like you said, you got to have the quarterbacks. But, you know, the style nowadays, if a young quarterback is starting, look at that play. Excellent play right there.
Yes.
The style is if there's a freshman or sophomore or guy under me starting, I should leave. You know, that's kind of what it's been. This one might stay. I don't know, but it'll be different if he does.
What's more important in your philosophy when you're coaching, the X's and O's of your coaches or the ability to recruit?
Hey, it ain't even close.
All right.
He who gets the best players wins.
They make you pretty good coach, don't they,
exactly,
the players?
Exactly. Yeah. Now, a coach can mess it up. We've seen that, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But, you know, whoever gets the best players is going to win. It's like a Kentucky Derby. Whoever has the fastest horse is going to win it.
Kenny Shaw down the sideline for another long gainer. They're they're going to mark him out actually back at the 43-yard line. So with the new quarterback in the game, Florida State on the move, leading 42-3. Sean McDonough with Chris Spielman and the legendary Hall of Fame coach Bobby Bowden, winningest coach of all time in major college football on Bobby Bowden Day. A lot of memories relived, I'm sure, last night at the Civic Center when you got up and charmed the crowd for about an hour and a half with your legendary storytelling ability.
Oh, boy.
And again today, any particular moments or two from the last 24 hours that particularly moved you emotionally?
Well, you know what moves me is when I see the guys. You know, last night when I went out into the crowd, and there were the players, former players, and that gets to me. I can handle that crowd right now. You know what? But your players there that you hadn't seen in 20 years, 30 years with their little boy or their little girl and their wife, you know, now that gets to me, you know, and you'd have got to me down there. But I put dark glasses on, nobody could tell.
Yeah. You know what I noticed too, Coach, is all your players, but I know and you know, I'm Coach's son and what a team game football is, but the importance of a staff. I always thought like a coaching staff was a team within a team. Is that accurate?
No doubt about it. I mean, you've got to have great coordination among coaches. They got to have love and unselfishness among coaches, just like a family, you know. And if you got that, you got a chance right there.
You pass some advice along to Coach Fisher, and if you were to talk to Terry, your son up at Akron, or any other young coach, give me 2 pieces of advice that you would give them, the 2 most important things in your mind.
Well, here's what I did on Tommy when he was coaching at Clemson, and Terry at Auburn, and Jeffrey when he was coaching at Southern Mississippi, is number one, don't take shortcuts. Don't take shortcuts. Do it right. You know what? Don't cheat. Mm-hmm. You know, that number one, because it will not work. And then usually it was just, you know, try to treat them like your son. Try to be fair. You can't treat everybody equally. That don't work. Be fair. You know, who you're dealing with.
Coach Fisher, when we spoke with him yesterday, said beyond your great coaching ability, your grace and dignity that really struck him, said that's the number one thing he took away, the way you were with players, how you handled difficult situations, how you understood sometimes when the easy thing might have been to throw somebody out, that this might be the last opportunity for this young man if you do throw him out.
Well, as you and I know, kids are coming up today without daddies.
Yeah.
I mean, over 60% of our players didn't have a papa. You know what? And they need a papa. They need a male figure. Well, that's what a coach has got to do. I used to tell my coaches, man, you might be the closest thing to a father this boy ever knows. So act like it. You know what?
I know you talked a moment ago about the importance of doing everything right, and you prided yourself on that. And when it happened at the time, it really bothered you. I'm wondering now, years lader, the fact that the NCAA made you vacate some wins, does that still stick in your craw?
That was unfair. Number one, I had kids that they claim got information on tests, which they probably did. Gosh, they suspended 25 of them. I played in the bowl game without 25 guys. And that went on for about 4 ball games. And they took 12 games away from me like I had something to do with it. I had no idea what was happening, you know what? Mm-hmm. But they did it. But gosh, hey, how about Joe losing 100 and something? That's you know, every time somebody says I'm the winningest coach, I kind of start apologizing a little bit. Yeah. You know.
Well, I think, you know, people who at the games, watch the games, they know how many you won.
Yeah.
You know in your heart and mind how many you won.
Oh, yeah.
Justin Burst, the injured player, being helped off. You were obviously a very logical candidate to be part of this selection committee when we go to the playoff next year, and I read some comments you really didn't feel like you wanted to do it.
No, they did not ask me. Somebody in the press maybe 5 years ago said, would you do it? And I said, my thinking was, well, I don't want to. But if they felt like I should, after coaching 57 years, if I should, I would try to do my responsibility. But I don't want to, you know, but nobody really ever asked me. And
I think because you said you didn't want to, they knew they shouldn't bother asking.
Exactly. I think that's handled that part.
Are you a fan of the 14 playoff and the committee type?
No, I'm an old timer. You know, I'm like your daddy.
All right.
You know, I live,
that's old school.
That's us, buddy. But no, hey, look.
You gave your players water, though.
Oh, yeah, we did. But you know, 1 and 2's all you want. I mean, I think the way they've done it in the past, they always got 1 and 2. And you got it right. You know what? Now we're going to add 3 and 4. Well, who cares about 3 and 4? You know what?
Well, 3 and 4 care about 3 and 4.
Other than 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Would you feel the way?
5 don't care about them.
Would you feel that way if the Seminoles wind up number 3 this year? They behind, say, Alabama and Oregon?
You know, we got in top 4 about 10 years or 12, 13 years in a row. If we'd had playoff then, you know, we might have got into a few of them. But
Coach,
anyway, hey, good to see you, boy.
Congratulations. Great to see you. Always a pleasure when we get to spend a moment with
you. Coach. Thank you.
Is your dad still coaching?
In heaven, he's coaching.
He's
got 11 apostles on his side.
Thank you, Coach. God bless you. Bobby Bowden Day. And the Seminoles doing their part, leading 42-3.
Might be watching baseball tonight. My Cardinals against the hub of the universe, self-proclaimed Boston Red Sox.
When did they become your Cardinals?
What are you talking about?
Mr. Lifelong Ohioan.
No, I love the National Leagues, Mike.
A good time to segue into the good hands play. Brought to you by Allstate. And here it is. Coach Bowden took the handoff, said he wasn't sure he could dent the turf with the flaming spear. But he did. He also did that for his last game as coach for the Gator Bowl against West Virginia at the end of the 2009 season, and they sent him out a winner.
We had the pleasure of meeting with Coach Bowden in the 3rd quarter and having a nice chat with him. And Sean, I got emotional. I mean, this is my first time at Florida State, and I just think that's one of the great all-time traditions in college football. And to see Bobby Bowden, you know, a man that I idolize, take that spear and be a part of it. What a great time for him to come back. That meant a lot to me being a fan.